On the 22nd of July, 2021, the Hawks received information about a container which was docked quietly at the Durban harbour. Inside the container, there was a shipment of animal food, which was destined for a depot in Isipingo, a town situated 19 kilometers south of Durban. The tip-off had come from a trusted informant, a man who'd spent years working as a dock worker. He claimed that a container carrying animal feed was stuffed with bricks of imported cocaine. Within hours, the senior generals within the South African Police Service formed a covert task team, which included the Hawks, the Durban Harbour Police, and border security. When the convoy arrived into Isipingo, the air smelled of diesel and sea salt. Officers formed a perimeter around the shipping yard, while others forced open the container doors. Inside, rows of brown feed bags stacked perfectly to the ceiling. But beneath the second layer, something caught an officer's eye. A canvas bag branded Jaguar. Another read TikTok. When they cut the first one open, a fine white dust spilled into the air. Cocaine, pure and uncut. 541 kilograms of it. Street value over 200 million rand. For a brief moment, celebration filled the air. The Hawks had landed one of the biggest drug busts in South African history. Under tight guard, the cocaine was loaded into armoured vehicles and driven south along the coastal road to the Hawks' office in Port Shepstone, a small, sleepy town that suddenly became the custodian of a fortune in white powder. What no one knew then was that this victory would soon turn into the Hawks' darkest scandal.
Well, 541 kilograms of cocaine worth 200 million rand was stolen from the Hawks' serious organised crime offices in Port Shepstone between Friday and yesterday morning. The suspects are said to have forced entry into the building through the windows and tampered with the safe that was used to store exhibits. An inquiry is currently being conducted into the circumstances of the theft. Hawks spokesperson Brigadier Nomtando Mbambo joins us now for more. Brigadier, a huge stash of cocaine there. Is that the most secure storage facility that was available to the officers in charge?
Good morning, Anika, and thank you for having me. Yes, the storage where the consignment was placed is indeed the safest one. It is just unfortunate that we had to experience this break-in that when you're conducting our preliminary investigation, it actually shows that whoever or the people who are involved in this theft were most sophisticated criminals and using sophisticated tools.
I know it's still early days and you don't like to speculate, but could it possibly have been an inside job?
We will be looking in all angles, Anika. We won't leave anything aside, because now the first thing that we would need to know is how did the people know where the safes are, and between the two safes in the offices, which safe to actually where the drugs were actually placed. So those are the things that we will be looking at, because it seems like the people who did this knew exactly what they were looking for and they knew exactly where to find it.
It was supposed to be one of the Hawks' biggest victories, a drug bust worth more than 200 million rand, the kind of operation that made headlines across South Africa. But just a few months after the 541 kilograms of cocaine were seized in Isipingo, Durban, that same victory turned into one of the country's biggest policing scandals. Sometime between Friday afternoon and Monday morning in November 2021, thieves broke into the Hawks' serious organised crime offices in Port Shepstone, where the cocaine was being stored as evidence. The police believe the suspects entered through a window, forced open doors, and went straight for the safes where the drugs were kept. It wasn't a random burglary. Whoever did it knew exactly where to go and what to take. When officers returned to work on Monday, The safes were open, the rooms ransacked, and the entire haul, all 541 kilograms, was gone. The burglary sent shockwaves through the South African Police Service. Lieutenant General Godfrey Lebeya, the head of the Hawks, immediately ordered an internal investigation led by senior officers and the forensic unit. The case was classified as a business burglary, but many, including Parliament, suspected something far worse, an inside job. How could hundreds of kilograms of cocaine disappear from a high-security government building without anyone noticing? Every year, millions of rands worth of cocaine are seized at the Durban harbour, South Africa's busiest port and one of the largest entry points for goods on the African continent. But behind the stacks of shipping containers lies a darker trade, the endless flow of white powder trafficked by powerful drug cartels. Durban has quietly become one of the key landing zones for cocaine smuggling into southern Africa, and the consequences are being felt everywhere, from city nightclubs to rural townships.
This is the Metro, this is the TM, and this is the baby. I'm going to open this up and then put it onto my foil. This is where they call it Chase the Dragon. I'm feeling high, very high, very high. I'm very relaxed at this moment. This will last me for approximately maybe half an hour. Without having the substance, my stomach will start giving off pains, and the only thoughts on my mind is to get money to buy my next escape. I've done the wrong things in my home. I've taken things, started off with my own assets, then it got worse, went to my brother's belongings, and ended up in a big situation where I was put out of the house. My parents was trying to correct me from my mistakes, and I failed. It's a losing battle. I've lost a lot of trust, loyalty, understanding in my community and in my home.
In the last few years, law enforcement agencies have intercepted massive shipments of cocaine disguised as animal feed, frozen chicken, or industrial chemicals. These operations have exposed just how global the trade really is. Most of the cocaine originates in South America, mainly from countries like Colombia, Brazil, and Peru, the world's primary producers. From there, it is shipped across the Atlantic, often routed through West African nations such as Nigeria, Ghana, and Benin, before being hidden in legitimate cargo heading to South African ports. The Durban harbour is ideal for traffickers. It's massive, chaotic, and handles thousands of containers daily, making it easy for a few to slip through unnoticed. Once the cocaine lands, it's distributed across KwaZulu Natal and beyond, some moving to Johannesburg and Cape Town, while a growing portion stays right here in Durban. The city's vibrant nightlife and booming party scene have made it a hotspot for cocaine use. Among clubgoers, DJs, and young professionals, cocaine has shifted from being an elite luxury to a casual weekend habit. What used to be a hidden indulgence is now openly traded in bars, parking lots, and private parties. The drugs problem in Durban has become almost normalized, whispered about, but rarely confronted. But behind the illusion of glamour lies deep destruction. Cocaine addiction is tearing through Durban's youth. Many start using it for confidence, energy, or social acceptance, but end up losing jobs, families, and mental stability. The drug's effects on the brain are devastating, leading to paranoia, anxiety, and depression. Its financial grip is equally dangerous. Users find themselves in debt, stealing, or turning to crime just to feed their habits. Hospitals have reported a rise in stimulant-related emergencies, while rehab centers are overwhelmed. The spread of cocaine has also intensified gang activity all over the country. Small-time dealers linked to local gangs now compete violently for territory. Some of these groups have ties to major smuggling networks that move the product inland. On the 31st of June 2024, the story of Cape Town's most elusive underworld figure began to unravel in silence. Peter Jaggers, a name whispered across the Cape Flats, both feared and admired, boarded a flight from Cape Town International Airport, bound for Johannesburg. His destination, the glittering halls of Emperor's Palace in Kempton Park. His purpose, a meeting that would never end the way he expected. For years, Jaggers had been a ghost in the city's criminal underworld. An alleged boss within the terrible Josters, one of Cape Town's most feared criminal organization, said to be aligned with the 28 number gang. To outsiders, he was a businessman, but those who really knew the streets claimed he moved something far more valuable than money. Cocaine. Tons and tons of it, hidden in shipments, containers, and sometimes in boats disguised as fishing vessels. One of those boats, the Berta fishing experience, had gone missing months earlier, along with several crew members believed to be connected to him. It's believed that R1 billion shipment of cocaine was either stolen, hijacked, or lost at sea, along with Jaggers' boat. And behind the rumors, the Colombian cartel that had allegedly financed the operation, a cartel not known for forgiveness. CCTV footage later showed Jaggers at the Cape Town airport on July 31st, calm, sunglasses on, phone in hand. He looked like any other traveler, catching a flight, but those who knew him said he was tense. He'd told associates he was heading up to Gauteng for business. No one asked what kind. The terrible Josters had been unusually quiet in recent weeks, their top general moving in silence. When his plane touched down at OR Tambo International Airport, he checked into a suite at Emperor's Palace, a luxury hotel and casino popular with businessmen, politicians, and, as it turns out, smugglers. From there, his digital trail starts to fade. Phone records later placed Jaggers' number pinging near Boksburg, not far from Emperor's Palace. Witnesses recall seeing a convoy of dark vehicles pulling into the parking lot that morning. Inside the hotel, Jaggers met with a small group of foreign nationals, men who spoke with thick Latin American accents. Some say they were Colombian, others say they were Eastern European, possibly Bulgarian or Serbian. Whatever their nationality, they were not tourists. By midday, Jaggers was seen leaving the hotel with two men. He looked uncomfortable. He didn't gamble that day. He didn't return to his room. That would be the last confirmed sighting of him alive. According to sources close to the Hawks investigation, his phone was traced briefly to an area near Springs, east of Johannesburg. Then it went offline completely. Around that same time, several encrypted voice notes began circulating among underworld circles. They were reportedly sent by a Colombian cartel lieutenant, demanding 50 million rand in ransom. The voice on the recording spoke in broken English, saying, "He has something that belongs to us. Tell them we want it back, or he dies." The message was clear. Something, possibly the lost cocaine shipment, had gone missing, and Jaggers was being held accountable. 3 months later, on a cold morning in the Free State province, a farmer made a grim discovery. Floating near the surface of a small dam were two bodies, both badly decomposed, bound with chains and sandbags. Police were called. At first, they thought it was another rural murder, until they saw the tattoos. One of the bodies carried distinctive ink across his forearms, designs known to be associated with Cape Flats gangs. Forensic experts were called in. The fingerprints were gone, but the tattoos told their own story. It was Peter Jaggers. Next to him lay another man, believed to be William Peterson, his alleged associate. Their bodies had been weighted down, an old cartel tactic meant to make corpses vanish. But fate, or maybe justice, had other plans. When news of Jaggers' death broke, fear rippled through the Cape Flats. Some said the Colombians had sent a message. Others whispered that the South Africans who stole the drugs had turned on each other. There were even suggestions that Jaggers was silenced to protect bigger names, corrupt cops and politicians who had worked alongside him. The Hawks launched an official investigation. Behind closed doors, detectives began mapping his final movements. The flight manifest, CCTV footage, hotel records, phone tower data, piecing together the final 72 hours of a man who once thought he could outsmart a cartel. They found no clear trail of where he was kept or how he was killed. But they found enough to know this. The 1 billion rand cocaine shipment that vanished around the time of his disappearance was likely the key. It tied back to the ports of Durban, to corrupt shipping companies, and to the Isipingo seizure, the same drug consignment South African police had intercepted just weeks earlier. In the end, Peter Jaggers' story became a warning written in blood. A man who rose through the Cape Flats, from the chaos of Natreg to the gilded corridors of Emperor's Palace, only to fall into the depths of a Free State dam. His death revealed just how far South Africa's drug wars have spread, from the harbours of Durban to the deserts of the Free State, and into the hands of foreign cartels who now treat this country as their playground.